God, it's in the walls.
Okay. Ladies
No offense, but
and
you're
gentlemen, welcome to the Anime Colosseum. I am your glorious Ice Oni Sis, the great and powerful Kala Never Melter.
and I am Erica Ironblood, the small and meek.
And also adorable.
Sorry, sorry, I was thinking of making a reference to Wizard of Oz.
Ah, gotcha. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest. Please put your hands together for our good friend, Abyssal.
Hmm.
Howdy, everyone. I'm Abyssal Tech, and I seem to be shorter than everyone, so therefore I must be in danger.
Well, I mean, all in fairness, I only have your upper torso, so.
Yeah,
Crap, the lower torso didn't come in the mail yet? Oh well.
unfortunately
See?
not.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. Well, I guess I could get the tank treads upgrade then.
Now,
Or a tentacle octopus, it was like, what is it? Like,
Yeah, but that freaks out the Japanese girls.
okay.
oh my. Now, with that being said,
He's
first.
just a bust.
Now,
Hmm.
with that being said, though, we both welcome you, Abyssal, to our little podcast of the Anime Colosseum. And
Hmm.
my dear friend Erica told me that you know a thing or two about Mecha.
Yes, I do. In fact, I know probably more than is healthy for someone to know about mechs and mecha in general.
See.
Giant. Ever since I was a little kid, giant robots have been a thing. Not sure if it was from watching Mecha Godzilla duke it out with the live Godzilla,
Yo yo.
or watching old BattleTech TV show on Saturday morning cartoons.
Well, either
Hmm.
way,
But
it's awesome, and I always do love hearing how people got into a certain genre, especially with mecha. However, though, I am
Hmm.
going to be totally honest with you. Mecha really isn't my forte. I don't hate the genre, mind you, but it was just not my cup of tea, if you will.
Is it your at least your fort B and your cup
Totally
of
honest with you,
uh,
mecha really isn't my
S?
forte. I don't.
Anyway, uh,
Cup of
okay
tea,
then.
if
mhm.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're moving right along.
you're honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, mecha is definitely not
Forte,
for
I.
everyone. It's,
Mm,
I mean, even if you don't like giant robots, there usually is some kind of show that has something that people like. I mean, Erica and I both are fans of Full Metal Panic, which
mhm.
has trouble deciding whether it wants to be slice of life or mecha.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, have mentioned that like when I'm introducing people to the show.
Mhm.
Mm,
Oh
However,
yeah,
mhm.
though, before we do continue, there's just one teeny tiny itty bitty thing that we must do first, and that is Erica. Tell the
Oh
boys
yeah,
and girls at
speaking of
home. Well,
actually speaking of Full Metal Panic, that happens to be the recommended anime of the day.
yes. Oh, I like what you did, that little transition there. Nice.
Mhm.
Sorry,
So
Abyss.
oh no, I have a blue haired anime girl sitting on my face. However, will I survive?
anyway, Full Metal Panic is a so far a 4 season anime set in an alternate version of Earth where, due to a certain event that happened, people are able to create mechas and highly advanced submarines and other like technological wonders due to the black technology and the
Due
whisper.
to
So it again, like Abyssal had said, it has a little problem deciding whether it wants to be a mecha series or a slice of life series. Because the character Sosuke Sagra is initially kept hired to protect Konami Chidori, and initially most of their time was at school, and they were hold on. And most of their interactions are like the hilarious because Sosuke was raised in the military, or so he was
He was
born.
basic. Sorry, he was
He's like
basically a child soldier in Afghanistan, pretty
yeah,
much.
and then was taken in by this anti-terrorist organization called Mithril. So most of his life has been as a soldier. So he does not understand high school, normal life, any of that. And it ends up turning up into some hilarious shenaniganry where Kaname is like, "What are you Why did you blow up a shoe locker?" And he's like, "Because I noticed that there was a mysterious message, and my locker had been tampered with." No, I think it's more he noticed
Suspicious
his locker.
package, yeah.
Yeah,
He,
it's just like
it's like his. It's not just he looks at things differently. It's he looks at things like, how can I use military solutions to this problem?
yeah, literally when Konami say when they're like trying to get bread, um, and Sosuke's like, "I don't know, the lines are really long, and I'm worried that they'll run out of
Oh,
my favorite bread." And Konami's like, "You gotta be more assertive." So Sosuke shoots a gun in the air and demands a plain roll. It just causes mass panic.
either that or he'll deploy tear gas or
Yeah,
fortunately he does like to use non-lethals like when he's dealing with the various martial arts clubs.
yeah, he used rubber bullets, then a fire extinguisher, then kicked the guy in the nuts.
oof.
Oh,
Yes, he's a very talented combatant. It just
mhm.
unfortunately he has no defense against Kaname's paper fan technique.
Yeah, yeah. Kaname is essentially the love interest, and if you and also is actually would she be considered a tsundere? I think it's more like a natural reaction to the person you love being a complete idiot.
She's a little bit Sun, but to be fair, Sosuke would try anybody's patience.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Alright. Now, so thank you,
But anyway,
Mishima and Spirit Hugs. I wanted to make sure that both of you audio was fine. That was my
so
biggest
yeah,
concern.
the
So,
first season of Full Metal Panic, the it's like they each take turns. Slice of life, then mecha, slice of life, then mecha, slice of life, then mecha. Fumofo is mostly slice of life. There's one where Sosuke has to teach the rugby team how to be more assertive, and he essentially becomes it's essentially becomes a Full Metal Jacket reference. It's just like
yeah, Full
um,
Metal Jacket is a pretty bit popular show over movie in Japan as far as military otaku are concerned.
hmm,
makes sense.
But yeah,
nice.
he
And
basically turns the rugby team into a group of killers that their opponents are terrified to stand across from.
mm, yep. And then the third season, I believe they started leaning more towards mecha fights. And I
Mhm.
have not seen the fourth and the final season, the fourth one yet, but it seems to be pretty good.
Yeah, the mechs definitely take a back seat to a lot of the interpersonal conflicts that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually is a good way to lead into the different types of mecha, because you have your military vehicle mecha, where the mech is basically just like a walking tank.
Hmm.
And then it goes up the stages to where the mech becomes more of a character of its own. And then you have straight super robot stuff where the mech is basically warping. In order for the mech to actually work, it has to warp space and time.
Like in Gurren Lagann.
Gurren Lagann is the most extreme example of that.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
there is
Or
technically
Gravion.
Gravion, yeah, where the mech is definitely not behaving any kind of realistically, and it's effectively it's the own character of the show.
Yeah.
Like in the end of the original Mobile Suit Gundam 0079, the center portion of the Gundam splits off from the all the other characters, and as all the characters are reunited, you see that part of the those last surviving part of the Gundam flying off into space all on its own. Like it's kind of like a goodbye to the Gundam.
Wow.
Well, now before we continue, I do want to also throw out something like this. So, usually I ask Erica about this, but since you are a special and glorious guest, Abyssal, would you like to tell everyone exactly what is mecha? And if you want, you can even start with maybe the first mecha and whatever else you feel everyone needs to know.
Mecha is generally giant robots. It could go from slightly larger than a normal person, like the power armor in Fallout 4 can be considered a mecha, all the way up to like Pacific Rim style, where the mechas are about the size of skyscrapers.
Like they're meant to fight kaiju.
Yeah. So generally, though, as long as it's a humanoid robot, that's the general consensus.
Ah, nice, nice.
So would Bubblegum Crisis be technically a mecha series?
It can be considered one, although their armor is more something that's usually worn.
Mhm.
Okay.
But you could consider like Ghost in the Shell standalone complex one, because you have the Tachikoma little tanks that are more. They're not a tank per se, but they're they're mechanoid in a way.
I mean, to be fair, the creator of Ghost in the Shell, I keep forgetting his name. I think his last name is Shiro. Is known for making mecha series.
Nice, nice. Now, do you happen to know when when the first mecha anime ever came out was?
So technically, mecha have been a thing for decades. One of the first mecha animes was released back in 1963. With a giant robot showing up in manga back in 48. So
wow.
They've been around for a while. Two of the most popular series in both the East and the West, Mobile Suit Gundam, which the titular Gundam right there, came out in 1980, and the original Gundam story of the whole Universal Century has been They just even came out with a new kind of almost alternate storyline to it in Gundam Cubes, or however you say that. And then over in the West here in America, we have the BattleTech franchise, which has been running strong. Well, maybe not running strong per se, but it's been going since 1984. And they just released a new game for that, where you're running around. Oh God, I'm blind. I can't see. I can't see. My eyes. My eyes.
Oh no, I think we're gonna move you right here next to Erica.
Okay. So what we got on screen right there is one of the concept arts from Neon Genesis Evangelion, which has been mentioned here. That's supposedly the Unit 1 fighting off against an angel. And that's one of the, you can see kind of one of the reasons that mecha can be popular. You have basically an armored knight, giant armored knight, standing strong against a threat.
Hmm.
So, yeah, you see it a lot of.
Isn't there a Gundam that has a Gundam horse and it combines with it to look like a rider and a mount? Or was that a
Yes,
different mech?
yes,
Okay.
that is in. Actually, that was in G Gundam, the same series that the Gundam, the mech on display right there is.
Okay.
One of the antagonists, his Gundam can summon a horse, which is, in the spirit of G Gundam, operated by his horse.
Of
Sorry.
course.
It is far from the weirdest thing in that series.
Okay.
I see.
Yes, Holland, every nation on Earth basically has their own Gundam, and they're all duking it out tournament style for who
Oh.
basically has control of the world.
Oh.
And certain nations like Holland, like the Dutch, have their Gundam looks like a windmill.
The Dutch.
Well, at least there's none that looks like Don Quixote.
Nani?
Don Quixote, he's this fictional character that's known for thinking windmills are giants.
Yes, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Silly Erica.
Also, he's a store in Japan.
Nice.
Don Quixote.
Now, and also, so to those at home, I have this on flip image. Again, thank you, Erica. You're a fucking godsend. And the only issue is I don't know the exact order of the, pictures. So I don't know what's going to be after this, but
That's fine.
Ah.
So, what is that?
I'm sure Erica can recognize this easy. This is another Evangelion concept art, kind of showing the monster inside the machine, which is
Oh yeah,
one of
because
the themes of the show.
Evangelions are technically giant humans or humanoids created from either Lilith or Adam and mixed with human. And they just have like a bunch of armor plating just nailed into their bodies.
Yeah, they're biomechanoids, and the armor is both a form of protection and a way to and basically restraints
Yep.
to keep them
But-
from nom-nomming anything in sight.
Yeah.
Mhm. And then
Yeah.
there's this.
Which
That's
is
one of
another concept art from Evangelion. Like
Once again, you have the knight or the knight striding forth to do battle.
Now,
It's kind of
one thing I
the magic of it.
Now, one thing I do want to throw out there is I've heard of Evangelion a lot thanks to Twitter, but one question I gotta ask: is it supposed to be this deep, angelic, biblical, nonsense, or are the fans slash whoever's on Twitter looking way too hard into it?
the Christian elements are put in there because Hideaki Anno thought they would look cool. But there is a big thing on psychology and the human condition.
Mm.
Yeah, that's actually a lot of the sub themes of a lot of anime, mecha anime. The human condition. It's like back in Gundam, we have a lot of the child growing up into a man and actually accepting responsibility throughout the series.
And also, Didi, I absolutely love that comment. Oh gosh, Adam, he's gonna call himself the Dick Master. It's a reference to Has-Been Hotel.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, so, shit. I have enough time to explain the lore behind Evangelion?
I
not.
by all
I
means.
think that would be its own episode.
Yeah.
A quick rundown, yes, but actually going into detail on the lore would be an entire episode of its own.
Oh,
Okay.
whoa.
So there's Oh,
Well,
shit.
give
What was
us
I?
a quick rundown then.
Well, with Evangelion, with the human condition, it's mostly about humans. We as humans wanting to be alone and not wanting to get close to each other, but also us wanting to be close to each other. In addition
Ah.
to Freudian and some other psychologies and stuff, us like, wanting our mothers, wanting to find someone who's like our mother, and that sort of thing.
Okay. Now let's see
It's
what.
like Misato, the reason why she loved Kaji was because he reminded her of her dad, but then she hated that because she hated her dad. But then she was like, I can't actually hate Kaji because I love him, and it's really confusing. It's like,
Oh,
Most a lot of relationships are.
yeah.
because he thought that daughters have this thing where they love their fathers. Is just Sigmund
And then there's the
Freud.
whole Rei is a clone of Yui, but also has Lilith's soul implanted into her.
I
Yeah.
see.
I
Yeah.
mean, that thing about daughters being attracted to men who are like their fathers is definitely true. I mean, I'm basically like my wife's dad, with only a third of the mental issues,
Okay.
I see. Now,
and much
sh-
better looking.
should
So,
we
Hmm.
should we continue?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Next up is Furikuri or Furikuri.
That was the original name because Fooly Cooly is a name of a band, and unfortunately, they did not have the permission from the band to name it that, so they named it Furikuri, which was the Japanese pronunciation of it,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually they, I guess, were able to call it Fooly Cooly or
Hmm.
FLCL.
I mean, I'm just gonna
Now,
say,
this
well,
one's loosely considered a mecha because the television robot in the background, while he's not quite giant, he is piloted by the young boy there
Yep.
against much bigger robots.
Yep.
mm.
So it's kind of an inverse of the giant robot thing,
And
where
also,
it's a small mecha robot fighting large robots.
Yeah,
and
but it
also,
does have that one human condition thing where you basically have the protagonist grow, growing up, through the battles and the interactions he has because
I
of the
think
mecha.
I think it's because he feels like he needs to grow up, or maybe he doesn't want to grow up. He doesn't want to form that sort of connection
and I
because
also,
of the whole "I don't like sour drinks" bullshit thing.
and
Yeah.
also, this I remember this anime being batshit insane. The good kind of insane, not the insane that leaves you with, what the hell was I even watching?
Well, yeah, because a lot of people consider this a response to Evangelion, where in Evangelion you feel like you have to be smart in order to understand it. With Fooly
Ah,
Cooly, you don't have to be smart in order to understand it. You don't have to be all like, "Oh my gosh, what is the meaning of this? What does this
okay.
mean? What does
So,
that mean?" You
so it's
can just
basically,
turn
so,
off your brain and enjoy the show.
so
Because
Evangelion.
no matter how smart you are, no one can understand this show.
So
Yep.
Evangelion was basically the Rick and Morty before Rick and Morty came a thing, because that's that whole
No, it's more
meme.
like
I don't know.
it's
I was
more
talking about that meme of you have to be big brain to understand it.
eh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Alright, well, let's continue. And in
We've
technicality,
already
yeah. Again, I
I've
kind of
already
just
talked
cupped them
about
all
it.
in, and all this fun.
Gundam
See,
Wing.
Yes.
This is from the movie Endless Waltz. This was the introduction for a lot of people in like the 80s to 90s to Japanese style mecha.
hmm,
I mean, as far as the overall Gundam shows, it's not the strongest. The let's just say the protagonists have issues, but at the same time, the mecha designs look sweet.
Oh yeah, this design right here looks metal as hell. And also, yes, Spirit, there was a South Park reference in Fairy Curry.
I mean, Gynax has had a thing with referencing South Park, and in the Fractured Butthole, they finally responded with referencing Gurren Lagann with Toolshed, the character Toolshed, as he literally quotes, "We move forward with each turn. That's how a drill works." And also, his ultimate move is literally the massive drill attack from Gurren Lagann, where they just create a giant ass drill.
Then we have this. Now, this looks like it's from a video game.
Yes, this is a Mad Cat, or its other name, Timberwolf, from the Mech Warriors series, which is kind of a little bit of spin off of BattleTech. Same universe, but
Oh, cool.
yeah, this is definitely one of the more military style mechs where, as you can see, it's a walking tank, but you take one look at this thing and you know this thing's nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing since we're on this, now, it is, I assume, that mecha games are popular, at least in Japan, and also, how many are there if you know the answer to it?
Mecha games? Ooh.
Yeah.
I know from my time there that mecha games are incredibly popular. I'd have to do a pretty big internet deep dive to actually say how many there are.
Mm.
But one thing I always enjoyed was there was Gundam Pods. That basically it was a cockpit like pod you could climb in, and it had the actual controls, and you could use that to operate your mech and fight people all across Japan.
Ah, nice.
There's also this one called Sakura Wars, which is set in an alternate version of like post Meiji Japan.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those. What if a hostile force attacked Earth right after World War One or something like that? It's like
Now, I do
so
Mhm.
remember.
basically.
Oh, go on.
hmm So basically, you have mechas that are powered by magic, and yeah, and you fight. To be fair, I've only seen the anime, but it first was a video game series.
Nice. Now, I do remember that there was this one game that I saw way back when demos for PlayStations were a thing, and
Mm.
it was just really. I will say, again, I'm not a huge fan of mecha, but the game that I played was pretty cool. I don't know what it was called, but it was for the PlayStation, so just kind of throw out
Mm.
a name, I guess. But oh, here we go. Now this is my time to shine. Zoids. Now,
Mm.
like I said, like I told you, when it comes to, mecha, I am not the biggest fan of it. It's just not my thing. I don't think it sucks or anything. It's just I'm not interested in it. Now, sure, there are exceptions to that rule here and there. Exhibit A to said exception. Because I love animals. And since I've seen
Mm.
that this show has animals as Zoids or mecha, well, I don't have autism, but you can kind of figure out what happened next. I even had this one game for the GameCube, the Zoids game for the GameCube, and I put in so many hours. Hell, me and my little sister, played it for hours on end. I even, basically told her all about, like, the mechs, the cool designs, the characters, and my favorite, of course, being the Spinosaurus one. I forgot the name, it's been a hot minute. But the one that's a Spinosaur was my favorite mech, as well as, of course, the Liger, which, to be fair, it was just so freaking cool, and it had so many different, like, designs and forms, like the Phoenix, Liger, and others. It was just metal as hell. Now, do you
Which is
two,
appropriate since it is a giant robot. Yes.
yes, now do you two know about this?
I loosely know about the show. Came out after it came out when I was kind of getting into high school type time frame, so I had a bunch of other stuff and didn't have any kind of reliable way to watch it. So
Hmm.
catch a few episodes here and there, and I have no idea what's going on, so it just never grabbed my interest.
I gotcha. Erica?
Oh, yeah, it was on Cartoon Network, and I would occasionally see an episode.
Okay. Also, I think there was one, if I recall correctly, there was one that never finished the season, or rather, it probably didn't finish getting dubbed here in America. I don't know if it was done in Japan, but yeah, there was, that. However, again, I loved this, series. Now, that being said, let's continue. And oh, we got the Gundam, a model Gundam. I figured I would get this because I do
I believe the
remember.
technical term is Gunpla.
Oh, my
Yeah,
bad.
kind of.
Okay, might be. But I do know one thing. This was a huge thing back in the day, just like with Bionicles and other if I say toys, is that offensive? Because, like, I want to make sure I don't piss anyone off here. Like, but
I mean, you could play with them like they're toys, just
Yeah,
they're going to break.
oh, true. But
I.
like, also you put a lot of time and effort into this, and Spirit
I think
says,
for the most part, the only time you would like want to play with that, you wouldn't. Okay, you wouldn't give this to like a child.
mm-hmm.
Wanting to say, but you could like
Yeah,
you could
that's that's like a
reenact.
collection of choking hazards.
Yeah, but like you could like play with like some models. You could play with them,
I've
and
seen people do stop action videos
yeah,
with the Gunpla.
that's what I was thinking. There's this one funny Evangelion stop motion video,
Mm, yes,
and yeah,
but this particular guy right here is the Strike Freedom Gundam from Gundam Seed Destiny.
mm.
nice.
And now,
Arguably one of my least favorite shows. It was one that, I mean, granted, the mech is pretty sweet, and I actually have this Gunpla too. It is a fun build. You can do a lot of posing with it,
Nice.
but the main characters just have so much plot armor in this.
so it
Like this,
becomes
this
kind of
is
bullshit.
yeah. It's like that one mobile suit right here. This one Gundam right here. It can basically fight hundreds of other mobile suits and just like one shot them. Oh, but not in any way that's fatal to the pilot.
Okay, yeah, that is kind of bullshit.
Yeah,
And also,
yeah. The opposition basically on the battlefield either is in a powerful Gundam of their own, or they exist to show how awesome this thing is.
I see. Also, Spirit asks, is Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go also a mecha?
I think so. You essentially have a they live in a giant super robot that they use to protect the city from the Skeleton King. So
Alright.
yeah, I think it could be considered mecha.
And oh, it looks like
I've never heard of that, so but I'll rely on Erica for that.
Yeah, essentially, it was a Disney cartoon on the JetX programming block that looked like it was heavily inspired by various Japanese anime.
Now, I think it's now time for us to, turn the conversation to Western animation that took huge inspiration from Mecha. As we can see here, the short-lived and, might I add, awesome Symbiotic Titan show that was wrongfully cancelled because Cartoon Network sucks. Let's just call it what it is.
Cartoon Network has a history of not seeing the value in certain shows and will cancel and even write off as a loss for tax purposes, some shows that are incredibly well loved. Mainly because either they couldn't make toys of it or they refused to make toys of it.
Also, sorry, Spirit, I misread the way I'm, seeing this. My, vision is not that good at this angle, so I did, misread that. I do apologize.
Like, they couldn't figure out how to make toys of it, so they're like, what is the purpose of the show then?
And it's like, you're telling me no kid was like, holy shit, I would totally want this. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Granted,
that actually was a driving force behind Gundam for a while. Like you have like the Gundam that's fighting on the protagonist side, and then usually for the antagonists, you get this steady stream of newer and different mechs that they're piloting.
Oh yeah, and then you got the Gundam Hammer.
And that's all to sell toys.
Yeah.
They came up with all of these different designs because Bandai, which sponsored the original Gundam, wanted to sell toys.
Yeah.
So, but we got some gems out of it.
Again.
But yeah, the Gundam Hammer thing was I think the creator of Gundam at first said Gundam is a serious show, but then he created the Gundam Hammer, which was like a meteor hammer, and people were like, this is ridiculous. Why did you put this in is this just to sell more like Bandai like kits? And he's
exactly.
like, I mean, it's just a giant robot show.
Yeah, you went back on us, But no, again, and not just that, but also, me and Erica did a podcast several weeks ago, talking about inspiration of, the West and the East, and, well, lo and behold, this right here is one of the other one that if it's not next, I am going to skip to it, that way we still kind of stay within the, I might as well just do.
Saku.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, Megas.
Yes.
If you feel free to play the opening theme for this one.
I wish, but wait, could we get copywritten?
Living here in Jersey, finding villains from afar.
Like the DMV.
Gotta find first gear in your giant robot car. You dig giant robots. Boy, dig giant robots. We dig giant robots. Chicks dig giant robots.
Guitar solo and nice.
That intro still slaps. 10 out of 10.
Oh,
yeah, but like, how the fuck could you not make toys out of this? Like, you could make the model kits of the Megas and then create like kits for the various monsters that Coop fights. Like, literally, you could do that, but Cartoon Network is full of dumbasses. Like, all of their
Like the
Base.
Megas itself has so many hidden weapons and on. You could just like
Yeah.
make a base Megas toy and then sell separate kits that have all of the interesting places it's going to fire missiles from.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
like
Spoiler,
literally.
that's everywhere.
Yeah.
And again,
But
this
no,
was
they
so.
apparently think that kids are fucking stupid and only know slime and
Bolt
bulky
noises.
action figure.
Yeah, like all they wanted, like again, there was so much promise. The animation looked good. The
I'm
character
literally
designs looked
thinking
great.
to the Ben 10 figures where it's just like a bulky figure, or you squeeze this thing and slime comes out of the alien's mouth.
Hmm. But like
It's like,
there was so much promise for this. Though again, the animation looked
yeah.
great. The characters were great. The humor
Mhm.
was hilarious. Like this was the kind
I,
that.
May they
I
step.
really loved how Coop, the big dude there on the right,
Mhm.
he came off so much as just this washout who lived in his parents' basement or something, and then give him something mechanical to do, and he's just like, oh yeah, you gotta hook the whatchamacallit into this houdini here, and he just rewires something to literally create a warp drive.
And
Yeah.
by the way, to those who don't know, Abyssal didn't just make those words up. That's a literal sentence Coop would say. The doohickey goes to the whatchamacallit, and the, the thingamajig. Like, he doesn't know the scientific mechanical words, but, like, nah, he knows how to,
It's actually
do
literally
it.
me when I'm describing how to build a Lego set, because I do not know nor care about like what the technical name of this I do not care if this is called a snot brick. This is a this is
A
this is
dinglefork.
a brick with two different studs.
Yeah. I mean,
It's like,
it might as well just be the bird from Little Mermaid. Just make up words on the spot. You're not a scientist.
yeah, this
But
is a
Back in the
sliding hinge.
back in the military, we'd all, if we didn't know the name for something, we'd just call it a shit ass. I'd be like, hey, hand me that shit ass over or there, and 9 times out of 10, the guy would hand you the right thing.
I fucking
Yeah.
love that. I fucking love that.
Hmm.
Like, hand me
That
the
is
shit
funny.
ass over there. Like,
Yeah.
this one.
No, not that shit ass, the other one.
Oh, okay.
Fucking,
Oh, this shit. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
it's right next to the fuck shit right there.
Yeah.
But anywho, no, this had so much, again, potential. Sad that it was wasted because the Cartoon Network sucks and they don't know what they're doing.
I really hope they step on hopefully at one point one of the execs stepped on a Lego, because like, how the heck do you do that to an amazing show and not expect to get some sort of karmatic rebalance?
Mm-hmm. But anywho, let's look at this right here.
Oh,
Yes,
nice.
Switch from Mercury, one of the newer Gundam shows.
Apparently,
Actually, really like this one.
oh yeah. Apparently, according to you though, the Yuri was was not as good as as people made it out to be.
Honestly, with the exception of the final episode, the two main female characters had about as much chemistry as a bottle of water sitting on a desk.
That is okay.
Like the
From what I heard on Twitter, certain people made this out to be like the gayest Gundam series ever, and I'm like, oh wow.
Oh, no.
the only Yuri that really came across through the show between those two was the fact that they were kind of in an arranged marriage type scenario. But the one redhead girl there, Soletta, she was flustered by the fact that she now had a fiance that she's like, wait, what? I didn't want anything. I didn't want this. But there was no like, she was flustered because she was with a girl. She was just another character to really her, you know?
And also,
honestly, I think the biggest problem this show had was, I think they were about halfway done writing it,
Mhm.
and then the writers got told, by the way, this is only like a 20 something episode show instead of the 50 episodes a lot of Gundams normally get.
Mm.
Oh, I
Oh,
see.
Because
damn.
you see that a lot where one of the things I really got bothered by kind of spoilers here. Suletta is an anxious bundle of nerves. Like,
Hmm.
think the person who's always concerned that they're doing something wrong or offending
Oh,
someone or whatnot.
I
Until she gets
completely.
into the Gundam, and then she's just like, I'm ace pilot, bitch.
Ah.
And it's like a complete inversion of her normal personality. Like, she's calm inside the Gundam, actually engaging in combat. She's calm, she's confident,
Hmm.
she's even a little bit aggressive.
Hmm.
And this kind of accumulates a little bit in one scene where she's rescuing the silver haired girl, Minorin, from someone who's trying to kill her by basically slapping the guy with the gun with like he's a overly ripe mosquito
Hmm.
with her Gundam. She then hops out, slips on the dude's blood, and her reaction, not that she's now sitting in a pool of pureed human, is not horror or shock or anything. She's like, oops, I'm so clumsy.
See Daisy.
And it's just like, there's no way you can see that and not go, there's something wrong with this girl's medulla oblongata.
Hmm.
Yes, the Duma
And
Oblongata.
I think that was probably, like I said, this was supposed to be, they were writing it like this was a 50 episode series.
Mhm.
That's probably something they would have gone into. Like she was under some kind of brainwashing or conditioning that when it came to combat, she knew exactly what to do and all that. But outside, there was no programming whatsoever. So she was just confused and anxious.
I really hate that in like back in modern anime, when you got a series, you would get like 20, 24, 26 episodes for
Mm-hmm.
like a sponsored television series. But now they're like 12 to 13 episodes.
Yeah. And that's the one thing. It's like there could have been some real good Yuri between chemistry between the two girls, but it just didn't have enough time to cook.
I mean, I'm gonna say
Why is
this.
that a thing anyway? Like, why did they suddenly shorten the amount of episodes for seasons?
I think it's because of production. You don't so you have your series of the week or whatnot, and it just run. And you could have it run for a long time back in the day because everyone would be like sitting down,
Oh,
and
it's because nobody watches
it would be
like
one episode a
traditional
week.
TV.
Now it's all
Oh,
streaming, so it's like who had you want to attract an audience who's going to sit down and watch a 15 to 20 episode show, which is a lot easier than an audience that's going to sit down and just binge 50 episodes.
hmm, I see.
Yeah. But like I
That
said, I
sucks.
really liked Witch from Mercury. I thought it had some good ideas. It just needed a little longer to cook.
Now, one thing I do want to throw out there too, by the way. I've seen Little Witch. Yeah, it's not Little Witch Academia, duh.
That's a Zaku, I believe.
But
Those are
oh wait,
Zaku's.
sorry, no, I meant to go back though. But anyway, no.
Mhm.
So I've seen Witch from Mercury, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't get too much into it, but I will say there are two types of fans. The legit fans who are either true Gundam fans, so curious, such as myself, and then there's the tourist. The tourist was only there for one reason only. Meanwhile, everyone else was interested in the show to see where it went. And honestly, this was really mid. Like I think if I ever need someone to help me find a good, a Gundam series or Mecha series rather, I'll definitely give Abyssal a call, cause this one, like it was aight. if I had put from 1 to 10, it was a 5.
Like I said, it needed some time to cook. Although I will say it has the best right hook in all of Gundam.
Oh yeah, that scene. That was fucking hilarious.
She just walked up and slugged at one girl so hard that she did the Windows shutdown noise.
It reminded me of, Spy X Family when Anya, vibe checked the other kid. I forgot his name. But
No, this was just like she slugged this other girl and just fucking lights out. Doesn't fly back, just goes limp. Yeah.
now then,
she was a great character.
now then, this one.
So this guy here, Erica is a little right. It's not a Zaku, which is actually a line that the one character piloting it uses when it appears in the original anime. This is called a goof, specifically a goof custom from the 8th MS Team series. And I mean, just look at this thing. This thing looks mean. You can when this in the 8th MS Team, when this thing showed up, it jumped onto a building, and that Mono Eye just did this slow pan across the city, where it's like, this guy's not making his last stand. This guy's picking where every other character is going to make their last stand. It's just threatening, menacing, and overall, Captain Norris, the pilot of this thing, it was one of the best scenes in Mecha. Like, he's ace pilot, showing his stuff. The only reason that he doesn't end up killing the entire group of protagonists is he realizes his boss wants to snuggle up with the one protagonist Gundam pilot.
And also plot
So-
armor.
No, there's no plot armor. This is straight skill on his part.
Oh.
Like,
I mean, you said protagonists. It's like, of course they're going to live. They're the main characters.
well, there's a reason why he's not actually like, if he fought the little bit that he did fight the main character seriously before he realized who he is, it's like, this guy's gonna lose if he keeps fighting the goof.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he just stopped trying to. He's just like, I'm gonna focus on my objectives and kind of ignore you while running in circles around your entire team. But 8th MS Team was definitely more of the it leaned towards the realistic mecha series, where you saw a lot of how the mechs would interact with different actual tanks and infantry, and all that fun stuff. And there wasn't any psychic stuff going on either, which is kind of a theme for Gundam. But very realistic designs, great characters, several very awesome anime music videos.
Nice.
I would love to. I will pay someone to remaster one in at least 1080p.
Alright, next one is this. Wait, hold on. Isn't this...
It's the same mech, just another shot, but still looking epic as all hell.
Yeah, that does look epic as well. Okay, now let's move forward. Boop, 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 boop. Boop. There we go. This right here. This, first of all, massive props to whoever drew this, because that had to take one hell of a long time. There's a lot of detail here, but, Abysso, tell me, what are we looking at?
So, this is a shot of an Imperator Titan from Warhammer 40k versus an Space Orc Gargant, which is their version of a giant robot. The Imperator is basically built under the thinking that if you're not going to come to church, the church is going to come to you.
Ah, somebody addressed, I see.
And as you can see, looking down around their feet, these are actually, you can barely see the soldiers standing there, just the sheer size of these things.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And kudos to the fact that they actually gave it a crotch gun.
Yes, I love crotch guns. But alright,
Yeah.
alright. And this is
And
the last one.
that's another Titan right there. That's a slightly smaller Titan than the last one in lore.
I see.
So, yeah, the Warhammer series is a lot of very overpriced plastic models. This guy is actually the biggest one you can, and to purchase it, it will cost you the equivalent of a down payment on a fairly nice car.
Holy shit. They
Yeah,
really
hold
have
on.
a pretty penny then. Well then, now, I gotta say that is, amazing, but you better at least save this for your next tax returns or something. Now, other than that though, there are some honorable mentions. We didn't have, time to get every single EDB picture. Like, you got Gurgan Lagann, which was an anime that I did watch for 2 reasons. And you also got, like, others.
2 big reasons.
Yes, 2 big
Two
reasons.
big reasons that belonged to a certain character with red hair.
Yes. But I will say though, overall, besides just that, the anime was pretty cool, hilarious, silly, and WTF. But you also got like say Gurgan Lagann. You
No, it's
got
the indomitable human spirit versus the cold, unfeeling nature of the universe.
yes. And you also got like let's see, what else? Like, I didn't know there's a lot of Gundams, or at least Gundam Wing or Gundam Seed that came out during when Toonami was cool back in the 90s and early 2000s. And wasn't
there a Gundam series
I-
where all the mechas were just small chibi versions of themselves?
I was about to ask
Yes, SD Gundam, and there's even an RPG that it's like almost a Final Fantasy style RPG where your character is basically collecting these Gundam mechs and driving around in them but they're all that super deformed giant head type design.
Oh god.
Which is really kind of off-putting because of the story is actually fairly serious. But it just kind of contrasts very strongly with the mechs are slightly cute.
Yeah, that does kind of again contradict. Yeah. But other than that, though, you know what? To be fair, what is like what is like one of the worst mechas out there that you can think of?
Ooh, worst. That's
Because, like, in all fairness, every genre has something that is just the absolute worst. From action to adventure, even ecchi has, like, the worst of the worst, where a lot of people would say, Seven Deadly Sins is, like, the worst manga and anime due to, well, granted, the animation, but it seemed like a lot of people weren't really much of a fan of the anime or manga. Because, like, I don't know the exact reason. Or hell, Food Wars. Food Wars was kind of considered to be, I guess, the worst ecchi. I'm not sure. But all I know is the final season, it kind of just went downhill.
I consider myself not a half bad cook, and I can't even get half the results from that. But it's hard to say truly bad mecha anime just you lose interest in them so quickly that it's hard to.
Go Donner, like the first season was very interesting, but then the
Oh, Go
second
Donner, yeah.
season got like just really slow because they felt, oh no, we have to expand on all of these foreign pilots and just have a moment to focus on them, and then there's the whole like, oh no, Anya and Go are like separate, they're not living together. What's gonna happen? Oh no. And then they like don't actually. It kind of looks like they're about to explain why the mimetic beasts are like how they're created and what they are, and then they just like, nah, it just happens when a human with like high levels of testosterone uh, does something, and yeah, well, we fixed it. We have a cure. I think I kind of stopped after like the third like foreign pilot episode, like
Mm-hmm.
focused episode. As it was just like, yeah, I am not feeling that.
Mm.
I'd have to say one of the ones that I did watch to completion that I felt just disappointed by was Gundam Seed and Gundam Seed Destiny.
I
Mm-hmm.
understand.
Like, they start both the series and its sequels started out very strong. To like Gundam Seed itself was basically a reimagining of the original Gundam series.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it did homage to the original while it was trying to branch out to be its own thing. Well, to paraphrase South Park, while it was branching out to do its own thing, it kind of got high and wandered off.
Nice.
Like it like contrasted to Witch from Mercury, where it felt like they were trying to write a longer series, and they had to ended up sacrificing so many storylines to cram it into what they actually had. Gundam Seed just felt like you could have probably dropped about 10 episodes from it and streamlined a lot of it. And then Destiny, the sequel to that, there was a lot of plot lines that they never really needed to revisit. You know, it's like, let this guy sit back and have a happy ending. But no, we can't do that because we got to have more characters. We need the runtime. And it didn't help that the one guy they were trying to set up to be the main protagonist was
Name?
kind of an angry little twat waffle.
Like Bakugo.
Worse.
Oh, goddamn.
Yeah, no, his entire personality is my family's dead and I'm really angry about it.
Oh, God, he's Sasuke and Bakugo fused together.
Oh God, he is.
Yeah, there you go.
That is just so sad.
Like, no one understands my pain. No one understands
Like,
what I go through.
like this guy was basically so annoying. They ended up bringing back the main protagonists from the first Gundam Seed, and they ended up stealing the show.
Like, how badly do you have to suck?
Mm-hmm.
Well then.
Yeah, once again, the all the protagonists had plot armor until they didn't, until the plot needed them to actually get messed up. And very cool mecha designs, very cool mecha designs. And once again, they borrowed very strongly from, in this case, Zeta Gundam for Seed Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think they had good vision. A clear vision of this is where we want these characters to end up by the end of it.
Okay, gotcha. Like, they had an idea, but they just didn't know where to, send it to directly.
Yeah, then the plot, things just kind of got high and wandered off.
I got us golden. But, alright, so, what about, what is the best mecha? Like, I know this is gonna be the hardest because let's be real. Whenever you say what is the best of something, there's always more than one. Like, what is the best ice cream? I mean, you got chocolate mint, you got cookies and cream, you got, the bluebell vanilla ice cream, you got, well, birthday cake, in my opinion. I know some people might not like birthday cake ice cream, but
Say for mecha anime, if I'm going to recommend something to someone, I usually go with Gundam 0080. It's a very short OVA series that's only about 6 episodes, but it's basically a lot of the feel of the most Gundam stories condensed. It focuses very heavy on the characters, and there's only like 2 or 3 actual mech fights in the entire series. But it's very, because it's an OVA, the animation quality is very high. The voice acting work is done. The characters are, you're pretty much within about 10 minutes of the main character showing up on screen, you're at least a little bit invested in them. So, I mean, that's always a pretty big thing right there. And most people that I've recommended to and they've watched it, they're like, if they like it, they're like, I kind of want to learn a bit more about this world.
Nice. Well, Erica, can you think of anything else to add? Like, are we missing anything?
No,
No.
I think we mentioned
And,
pretty much everything. We mentioned even like some obscure mecha shows like Gravion, Godonner, and
now,
yeah.
so we got some, Western inspirations.
I will say, if you're not a huge fan of anime and you like Game of Thrones, the Battletech universe is actually a good one to kind of get into. There's a lot of novels by a lot of different authors, and literally the series is Game of Thrones in space with giant robots.
Now,
except the author actually managed to finish their series, right?
Now,
yeah, I mean, it's continuing series, and like I said, it's about as old as I am, so
now
it could have had its own kids by now.
Now I'm gonna throw this out. So, since it's Game of Thrones in space, I assume that means there's gonna also be Alabama stuff in space.
Not quite. I mean, there is this one group called the Capellans, and batshit crazy kind of runs in the family, so to speak. But no, it's basically you have the overall organization called the Star League that all these various houses are in competition with each other to assume the title of Lord of the Star League. And there's a lot of political intrigue and manipulation and stuff. And when the political intrigue and manipulation don't quite work, that's when the giant robots show up.
Would you consider Outlaw Star to be a mecha series? Yeah.
I would not consider Outlaw Star to be a mecha series. It's a space anime, sci-fi definitely.
Yeah, but
mechs
the
aren't
spaceships have like arms and stuff that they're able to use to hold like weapons and like blasters and.
I mean, I think it could be semi, mecha. If we can get away with that, semi mecha.
I mean, it's not nearly to the level of Macross, where you have your fighter planes turning into sprouting arms and kicking things in the face.
Oh yeah.
Or the actual giant carrier battleship they're on turning into an even bigger mech. But yeah, I'd say Outlaw Star is more of a space show. The mechs aren't. The ships are ships first with some mecha attachments to them. But
Okay.
like, I wouldn't consider Fallout to be a mecha series, despite the fact that power armor is a big thing in there.
Okay.
Yeah. But, okay. Well, in that case, I think we are done. If there's anything else you want to throw out,
Abyssal, do you have something that you wish to say to folks watching the stream or
I mean,
podcast?
there is plenty of there's a mech show out there for everyone. I'd say,
Mhm.
just
Everybody's got a mech show deep inside, waiting to
mhm.
be freed.
And even if you're not a fan of mechs, like I haven't met anyone who says they didn't like Gurren Lagann.
no.
Mhm.
Whether it's for
I don't think.
wholesome or not wholesome purposes, just, doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Yeah, Gurren.
Yeah.
Mechs are just usually another. They're a vehicle to tell the plot of a show.
Mhm.
And again, even though, I didn't like, mecha, again, it's not my favorite genre, I
Oh,
still like.
technically, Slayer's excellent.
Mhm.
Was it Slayer's excellent or Slayer's great? Um, it technically has a mecha segment because Lena and Naga are put into giant golems, and they end up fighting each other.
That's kind of the thing there. It's mecha is such a background to anime that even series that have nothing to do with mechs at all, you'll often see an episode basically giving homage to the old mech series.
Yeah.
Well then, in that case, I think, I think we are done. So,
All right.
I hope everyone in the audience had a fantastic time. I hope we got you interested in some, mecha. Like I said, even though it's not my favorite genre, I did love Zoids. And, everyone said, there is a mecha for everyone. Whether it's, serious, action, or spicy, or whatever. So, with that being said, my little ices, I hope you all enjoyed it. And next week, I'm not sure what we're going to, talk about or discuss, but I, hope we will see you then.
Mhm.
All right. Well,
So,
I just wanted to say real quick before we ended, thanks
Mhm.
for having me on. This
Of
is the
course.
first podcast I've gotten a few streams out, but this is the first podcast I've ever been on, so it was a nice
awesome.
experience.
Well, we're glad that
Good
we
to
were
hear.
your first.
So, folks, thank you all for stopping by, and we'll see you in the next episode.
I
Until then, goodbye and good night.
bye.